and welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Steve.
What's up, Jack?
Not a lot, man. Just chilling in sunny Florida. What about you?
Chilling in Cape Town. It was raining earlier today, but it's pretty chill now. Um, I say welcome to the podcast because I don't want to say the name of our podcast because I think we're going to be renaming it. So that's a personal nomad nightmare for us today. Is that we already need to rebrand. And I think the reasoning for this is mostly because we are idiots and we did not do any research up front. But after doing a little bit of research, we found out that there is an influencer out there with hundreds of thousands of followers who goes by the name Digital Bromad, which means that he really controls the SEO in that space. So anytime someone would look up Digital Bromads on Google or whatever it might be, we probably wouldn't come up. Instead, you would get this other guy.
And we don't want that. We want our own lane.
We want to have our own lane. So I think the name we've decided on is Nomads No Worries.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
I think that's a great name.
Because we don't want to be necessarily associated with this other guy. We don't want people confusing us for him. This guy sells a course on how to be a digital nomad or something. He sells courses. Like, we're not course selling guys, right, Jack?
Yeah, we don't want to sell a course. We just want to tell jokes.
Yeah, but good for him for selling a course, because you really need a course on how to be a digital nomad. It's really hard to tell someone that all you need is a remote job and then you can just travel from there.
Yeah, and the steps, they're pretty complex. You got to book a flight, and then you got to book an Airbnb. And those two things, I think I need a PDF, or I need a video. I need something like that.
Yeah. I definitely need to pay this guy money to learn how to do that. I'll tell you what, though, for anyone who, and I get it, there are some nuances, some things that are complicated about living the digital nomad lifestyle. And if anyone does have issues with those things, you can DM us and we'll give you free advice. Honestly,
Yeah.
Instead of selling a course, I will just help you guys out and answer your questions for free.
Yeah, so will I. We'd love that also. And also ask some ridiculous questions.
Yeah, the funnier the better. Or practical. That works too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, this dude, Digital Bromad, he's known for some other classic videos that include how to get Colombian women, and who could forget the classic Filipina Tinder date gets matching tattoo. Those are just some classic videos that, again, we don't want to disrupt that space that he's already controlling. With that amazing content, we don't want to interrupt that.
And the real problem there is that we don't actually have tattoos, and so I think that's the issue. We're not trying to be in the tattoo space.
Yeah, issue number one. But this is a good thing because, to be honest, we never really loved the name of this podcast. We just never thought of anything better. So it was just my initial text to Jack that said, "Hey man, we should start a podcast and call it Digital Bromads or some shit." That's literally what the text said. And we were like, yeah. And then as we were planning it, we're like, yeah, we'll think of a new name at some point. And then we just never did. We had already recorded episodes and we're like, all right, I guess this is what we're calling it.
But that's okay, because it got us to the point of recording, and now it's kind of exciting to do a rebrand. Who doesn't get pumped about that?
Dude,
it's a good thing.
we're like a real business now if we're rebranding.
Yeah.
That's what businesses do.
Like a reorg or something, like a good old,
Yes.
Use of resources.
So yeah, Nomads No Worries. We're gonna change all of our social handles to that. YouTube, the name of the podcast on Spotify and all the other services. So we'll put out a post on social media about this. So hopefully everyone is aware. But yeah, now if you look up digital bromads. All you'll see is that other douche, and we will not come up. We will instead be nomads, no worries.
Yeah, I think that's good. I'm not really worried about that, so I think it'll be great.
You're not worried about it?
No, I at all, honestly. And I think that's why I think the name is so good for us.
We literally have no worries.
Yeah, Hakuna
Or
Matata.
as we say, yes, I was gonna say, as we say in Africa, Hakuna Matata.
Oh, my bad, dude. I should have let you say that. You are in Africa right now.
Dude, the best
You
was
called me
when
earlier and he had an elephant photo behind him and I was like, dude, that's so Africa.
yeah, I'll show that later too. But yeah, the best is when I go to like a touristy store in Africa. Like the guys will say that they'll be like, "Hey, Hakuna Matata." I'm like, "Yeah,
But is it one of
get
those
out of
things
here."
where do they even actually where is Hakuna Matata actually from? It can't, like Africa's a huge country, right? There must have been like a spot, you
I
know?
do believe, and so this was when I was in Kenya, and the biggest language there is Swahili, and I actually
Okay.
learned a lot of fun facts. So like Simba, we all know Simba,
Yep.
actually means lion in Swahili.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Okay.
there were some other places in Kenya where the Lion King was actually like they based the setting of the Lion King on some of those locations. So I
Okay.
do think, yeah, I believe Hakuna Matata is Swahili. Might have to confirm that, but I believe so.
Okay, gotcha. So really when you're in Cape Town, it's like, to be honest, complete different country, but they're just trying to get you like a little tourist action.
Yeah,
Like
of
these
course,
guys
of
aren't gonna
course.
know any different.
No, hell no. And I don't obviously because I don't really know where Hakuna Matata comes from. I can't even
I
say
love
that
that.
word. So
I love
all
that.
right,
That's hilarious.
okay. So let's get into our Nomad news today. Now, what we have today is actually extremely Nomad newsworthy. So Scandinavian Airlines, aka SAS, is running a promotion through the end of the year to celebrate its entry into the SkyTeam Airline Alliance, which includes a lot of other major airlines like Delta and Air France. And so they're giving away 1 million points in its loyalty program to anyone who flies on at least 15 SkyTeam airlines by December 31st, so through the end of the year. And I think there's like 19 or so airlines on the list. So there's you got Aero Mexico is on there, China Airlines, like I said, Delta, Air France, Kenya Airways, shout out.
Hakuna Matata.
K- Hakuna Matata. We also got KLM, which is I think like the
The
Netherlands
Dutch. Yeah.
one. Yeah, Korean Air, Saudi Airlines, Virgin Atlantic,
Wait, Steve,
Vietnam.
are you saying that I just got to fly on one of these once or 15 times? What does that mean?
You have to fly on one of them each one once, or 15 of them one time.
Okay, so I got to take
So
15 flights. Okay.
15 flights. So, like one guy in the article I read, he said he's taking 20 flights over 2 weeks and plans on only occasionally stepping out of airports, which doesn't really sound that fun. Like, but technically, he'll get the reward in 2 weeks if he does that. So this is actually worth the million points is worth about $10,000. And it looks like most travelers are planning to spend around 2 to 4K on flights to do this. So not bad. If you only spend 2K on all the flights and you get 10K in return, I mean that's 8K that you net. So that's if you could do that, that would be nice.
Yeah, that sounds great. So is it like 1 million points for any of the alliance, or do I need to go on Scandinavian to like cash those points in? Do you know?
Oh, yeah, I think it is on Scandinavian. It's its Euro bonus loyalty program. I don't know. Maybe that includes some other European airlines. I'm not sure. But it's
Yeah.
their Euro bonus loyalty program.
Okay, cool. I mean, I'm down for a little Scandinavian trip. Like, this sounds cool.
But yeah, literally, if you were to complete this, and I've already looked into it for myself, I
Uh-huh.
mean, you pretty much have to fly to every single continent because they have Mexico and they have an Argentinian airline, so you'd have to go to like South America, North America to US to do like Delta or some of the American ones. And then
Yeah.
obviously they have the European ones, but like a lot of them, like half of them are in Asia, like the Korean and Chinese airlines. So you'd have to go all the way to Asia. Like you'd have to go around the entire world essentially.
Wow. Okay. Okay, cool.
So for anyone who's a fan of the Amazing Race TV show, I feel like this is similar.
Right. Except you don't have to run, which is great.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I would enjoy like doing what that guy said, just going to the airports and never leaving. Like I don't know if I would enjoy. Like I've never been to Korea or China yet, so I don't think I would want to go, for a day or something and then just leave immediately just so I can get these points. Like
Yeah.
that's a tight window to do that. Basically, you have like a month left. I think I'd rather not.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I'd want to enjoy myself. He seems like a penny pincher kind of guy,
Yeah, I agree. So
but we'll see.
yeah, but yeah, so that's fun for whoever wants to do that. I know there's some strategies out there, like certain airlines, like the Kenya airline. You don't actually have to fly to Kenya. Like they have some flights that operate just in Asia for some reason. So if you're already over there, you can technically take a Kenya Airways flight, from China to Korea or something. So there's a lot of strategy behind this. If you're a good travel planner, you could probably figure it out.
Nice. It's kind of like advanced mode for travel planning. Can you come up with a
Yes.
good route? Maybe this is what we sell the course on. How to structure this. This might be course worthy.
Yeah, I mean, we're not above selling out. Like, we just don't have enough
Absolutely.
followers to sell out yet.
Right.
I'm sure once
Our
we get
friends would
enough
be
followers.
appreciate it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, right now if we sold out, that would just be a bad look. So, we're not I guess we're not promising that we won't ever sell a course. We just don't have a big enough audience yet. And then once we do, we'll definitely scam people in some way.
Right. So really, we're just low key jealous that we can't have a course yet from the digital bromad guy.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole thing, I know we're shitting on this guy, but you know what? Good for him for building this big audience. I definitely am low key jealous for sure.
Yeah.
Especially because he took our name that we didn't even like.
And he like got a tattoo with a chick from Tinder. Like that's so trendy and edgy. Wow.
That is edgy. Yeah, he had some
Yeah.
other really funny video names, but those were just the two that we kind of stuck out. But all right. So, in honor of Thanksgiving,
Hmm.
I found a story from Reddit today, Jack.
Okay.
And I promise I meant for this to be travel related. Like I searched the word travel on Reddit,
Uh-huh.
and technically this story contains the word travel, so that's why it pulled up.
Okay.
But it's not super travel focused, but it is Thanksgiving focused. Which when this episode airs, it's going to be I think a day or so before Thanksgiving, so it'll be perfect for people to hear about, and then we can kind of tie this in to some of our travels as well after we talk about the story.
Now,
But
Steve, is there any hint of Thanksgiving over in Cape Town? Like any other fellow traveler like talking about it? Like have you seen mashed potatoes anywhere, anything like that?
no hint whatsoever. No mashed potatoes either. I did buy mashed potatoes from KFC the other day. Dude, they
Oh.
they love KFC is huge in other countries. If I've
Dude,
heard one thing from travel,
it's the one thing I always see.
yes.
Yes, yes, I can't. Yeah, that is the funniest thing. Yeah, and that's weird for me because I literally never crave it in the U.S. Like I never am like, you know what? Like I'm gonna go get KFC. Anytime I get KFC in the U.S., I'm like, I'm gonna regret this.
I actually did. I said that right after I got it the other day. I regretted it. I just felt like shit afterwards. I'm a Popeyes guy at heart. So when
Yeah,
I'm in the States, I usually go for Popeyes. But I thought I could fill that void here with KFC, and it was mid at best.
yeah. The Colonel. I don't know if the the recipe is travels well.
Yeah, I mean, all the way from Kentucky, probably not.
We're not it's not Amazon. They're not that good at shipping.
All right, so let's get into our story. This one says, am I the asshole for telling my vegan friend I don't want to come over for Thanksgiving dinner? Off to a great start already. I have a friend who went vegan 10 years ago. We've been friends 20 years or more. We have a large group of friends, like 15 to 20 of us, and there are a few of us that have switched off cooking dinner on Thanksgiving for whoever is in town. We like to call that Friendsgiving, don't we, Jack?
Yes, we do. We love, and it's my favorite way to celebrate Thanksgiving.
It is. It's the
Low key. I
best.
mean, I love my family and everything, but Friendsgiving has always been awesome.
It's great. So, since Anne, in quotations, they're using like a fake name, since Anne went vegan, we've always accommodated her dietary restrictions with, at the very least, some tofurkey, one side dish, and a dessert being strictly vegan. This year, Anne jumped in early and, for the first time ever, said she wanted to cook Thanksgiving dinner this year. Not a problem. Until she informed us in the group chat, dinner will be 100% vegan. Some of us offered to bring more omnivore offerings, including turkey, and she insisted that we eat vegan while at her house. She declared that vegan food tastes exactly the same as omnivore food. It does not.
It does not.
We know that, Jack, but we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that. Okay.
I've been to her house and choked down bean burgers and chocolate cake probably a dozen other meals of which she insisted tasted just like the real thing. She even tried to fool me once with a Beyond Burger, insisting it was a regular hamburger. I have only found a limited number of vegan dishes I enjoy, and none of them have ever been made by her. After thinking it over and discussing it with my husband, we decided to privately tell her we were bowing out of dinner on Thanksgiving this year. I told her I wanted turkey, mashed potatoes, pumpkin pie, all that were made with traditional ingredients. I could have lied and said we had plans to travel and see family, but I don't want to lie. That was the word travel right there.
Okay, nice.
Anne has become angrier and angrier with me since I told her about this a week ago. She went and complained to some of the women in our group about me refusing to attend just because she's cooking, which is sort of true, but still made me upset. So I ended up explaining to the other ladies that we all very considerately make vegan dishes just for her at every party and get together any of us throw. Okay, that doesn't make sense. And really, and it's really unreasonable for her to insist that I strictly adhere to her dietary choices when I never demanded the same from her. So that blew up because all the ladies have now jumped to my way of thinking and decided they will have Thanksgiving at one of their houses instead. We will not be attending their Thanksgiving either. My husband says we probably should have lied about going out of town, or at the very least, I should not have explained my reasoning to the other ladies. I've decided to stay out of it from here, but somehow Anne blames me for the whole debacle. Am I the asshole for declining to attend a vegan Thanksgiving? What do we think, Jack?
This is a hard one because it's like you have to balance between like, how much does the food matter and like your friendship matter. But I would say this holiday, food is central to this holiday, right? Like when I think of Thanksgiving, I think of turkey. I don't think of tofurkey. And so I'm going to say not the asshole. Especially because all the backstory about how they are considerate enough to make food for her, like over and over again, I feel like that's showing that they are willing to support her in her vegan endeavors. And so she should be able to kind of, like also support them and understand their point of view where, they also, prefer to eat the diet that they've chosen.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. The fact that they've always accommodated her, like when she goes to their house, they don't say, "Oh, you have to eat meat when you're in my house," but now she gets to say, "Oh no, you have to eat vegan in my house." Yeah, I don't think that's very quid pro quo. So yeah, I don't. Even if the other people make it, they're like, "Yeah, we'll make it ourselves and bring it over." Like I think that's what they offered to do. Yeah, I feel like that's totally fair. I don't know why everything has to be vegan and ruin Thanksgiving. No offense.
I mean, Steve, I remember when we had our little vegan phase, right? We went to the grocery store and we got all this vegan stuff. Which, by the way, there's levels to this veganism stuff, and we kind of, we get like basically meat imitation stuff. We take we get our grocery bags and we literally walk across the street to the wing stop and eat our like final meat meal. Remember
Dude, I
that?
remember that. We literally had all of our grocery bags at our table at Wingstop, and we're just crushing wings while we're surrounded by all of our fake imitation Beyond Meat stuff.
Yeah, and it's like what? Like I just remember like, man, these wings are awesome. Like, are we giving this up? Like, this is like, what are we doing here?
So let's give that more of backstory about why we went vegan. So for me, I think it was because I watched some stupid Netflix documentary, like Forks Over Knives or one of
Clever name.
those.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of the facts that they said in that documentary have been debunked ever since. I remember one of them, they were like, for every egg you eat, it's the equivalent of smoking 7 cigarettes.
That
How can
can't be
you,
true.
how can
That
you
just
like
can't
even
be
know that?
true.
But whatever we watched, I don't know, that's what triggered me. Like I saw that and I was horrified. I was like, I don't want to eat cigarettes. So I decided to go vegan. Do you remember your reasoning, Jack?
I think I had a girlfriend at the time who was vegan. And so I think that
Classic.
like it was easier for me to be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna give this a shot, right? But here's the thing, right? Like the vegan thing is often positioned as like, it's the environmental choice or you're helping the animals. Like it's more than just what do I want to put in my body to be healthy. It's like there's this like helping the world type of vibe, which that's great. Like I'm not like knocking on that at all. But that
Yeah.
is maybe kind of the undercurrent of the problem with this story, where it's like she doesn't want her house to contribute to like, deforestation or the killing of animals more than equally as much as like she doesn't want to eat that stuff. And I think that's kind of where the friction point is for some of these situations, huh?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Maybe that's kind of fair. But yeah, I know that one of our main reasons for going vegan, Jack, was just so we could talk about it.
Yeah.
I feel like it was just hilarious for because we did it at the same time, and for us to be able to talk about it in front of our friends was just really funny for us. We were
Yeah.
telling the truth, like we were vegan at the time. I think we only lasted like a month, but
Yeah.
what a rough month that was too.
And I think I ate a lot of Oreos. Like there's certain things that are vegan that are still not healthy,
Yeah,
and I think I stuck to
Pringles.
that.
Yeah,
And did our friends like us during that time? Not as much.
not as much. Yeah,
You know, like I, I think there was
I
an issue.
remember. Yeah,
No, go ahead.
I was the first thing I ate after being vegan for a month. I was at work and they catered in Chick-fil-A. So I was like, all right, I have to eat this if work bought it for me.
Yeah.
Some people call that being a freegan. If it's free, you can eat it even if it's non-vegan.
Oh,
A
see, I
freegan.
love that a little. Okay, I'm a freegan. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But dude, I remember eating that Chick-fil-A sandwich after not eating meat for a month, and I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever tasted. And that I was done after that. I was like, I can't go back to being vegan after this.
This is the thing, right? It's like we both had real bacon. Okay. I've had like turkey bacon and it's not as good. Imagine having like sofritas bacon or like non-meat. It's even worse. Like even
Yeah.
other meat bacon is not as good as
No.
like pork bacon. Like so you
That's
can't
true.
sit there and tell me that it tastes the same, right?
100%, dude. There's a really funny scene in Parks and Rec, the TV show,
Uh-huh.
where Ron Swanson is at like a vegan health food store, and they have like a free sample table set up. And Ron Swanson's like, "Can I have one of those?" And the free sample people are giving away vegan bacon. They're like, "Yeah, it's vegan bacon. Here you go." And he just takes it and throws it directly in the trash. And they're like, "What the hell? Why'd you do that?" He's like, "I just want to make sure no one else has to eat this." It's pretty good.
And this is another thing, right? Like you've heard the phrase where they say, "Okay, tofu can taste good. It's just all about like how you cook and season it." And my problem is I'm not a good cook. So there's no way I'm going to season the tofu better than like just eating a chicken wing. And I think that's a problem for me.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I mean, sometimes tofu can taste good. Yeah, if I don't cook it, like the sofritas at Chipotle, I think is delicious, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not
But
bad.
if I try to make tofu at home, it just tastes like rocks and dirt.
Yeah. And it's a weird thing. It looks like I don't know, it looks like astronaut food or something. You
Yeah,
like it looks
it's
like just like a meal that it's like a sustenance. It's not like an enjoyable experience.
it's a little too white. I like meat. I like brown food, brown colored food.
Yeah, and yeah, I need a little something. Exactly. And this is a crazy thing I learned about vegans, right? So when the Beyond Meat thing came out, I was so excited. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to give this to my vegan friend. They're going to love this." We make the vegan, the Beyond Meat patties or whatever, takes one bite and goes, "It tastes too much like meat. I don't like it." And I was just like mind blown. I was like, "Wait a second. So, like, you actually don't want the taste of meat?" Like, even like, it's like the opposite of like wanting the imitation. It's like the
Right.
imitation is now too realistic. It's almost like for
Yeah.
people like us. But the problem is, people like us can tell that it's not because we eat meat all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, because yeah, obviously I'm the opposite. I want it to taste as much like meat as possible.
Yeah.
Um, and you know what? I did eat some good vegan stuff while we did that whole vegan thing. Got some really good found some really good restaurants actually. Like some of the best restaurants in Denver are those vegan and vegetarian ones that are super good. And some days I'll do meatless Monday, and I'll try to everything in moderation, right? But yeah, I can't be a full time vegan. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
but let's tie this back to nomading as we promised that we would. Jack, I know this is something that you've noticed, but I feel like a lot of nomad centric cities that you visit out there that are kind of traveler or backpacker cities, they have vegan restaurants. Like that's how you can tell it's a nomad town is when there's vegan restaurants or vegan options on the menu.
Yeah. And it's like the person who owns that restaurant is like not from there either.
Oh, yeah, they never are. Definitely not.
Yeah, like they're like travelers, but they like it. They their story always goes like, "Oh, I came here for a month, and like 4 years later, I'm still here, and I opened up
Yeah.
a vegan restaurant."
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. But yeah, I feel like people in other countries are not like the locals are not vegan. They're like, what? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like we've been eating the same cattle for a million years in this country. Like we're not eating Beyond Meat. Like that's insane. But I
Yeah,
think
we're like,
that's how you know.
yeah, like none of the actual their dishes of the country are vegan. Now, sometimes like some places maybe, like I think some Asian countries, are more geared towards
Right.
vegetarian type of situation. But yeah, if we're talking Latin America, South America, we're eating meat.
Oh yeah, 100%. um, did you have like an example or something, Jack, of a vegan restaurant or something. I thought maybe you did, but maybe not.
Um, I remember there. Well, I don't know how much of a there. I remember this place in the Dominican. It's called Cabarete. It's on the north side of the Dominican, and they had a vegan restaurant there, and it was run by a lady from Michigan, I think. And it was funny because it's like everywhere else is like pretty cheap, $5, $6 a meal. Hers is like 13, $15 a meal, and I'm like still kind of hungry afterwards. But she's in business. People love to go. The thing about these spots, right, is like it's like all the other spots are more, more casual, like not as fancy decoration, but like the vegan restaurant is like looks like the trendiest Instagram spot you could go to.
Of course, just totally tailored to travelers and foreigners.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And so, yeah, you go in and it's like, oh yeah, and I talk to my local friends and I'd be like, hey, have you been here? And they're like, we've literally never been there.
Of course, the locals haven't. No.
Yeah, yeah. The place was kind of cool. It was called like Vagabond, and so it
Also
was like
a
in
nomad
every
word.
in every item on the menu was like the name of like a city like around the world.
That
So
is cool. That's
definitely like
fun.
uh definitely geared towards us, right?
Yeah.
But Steve,
Well,
I love
yeah.
the other restaurants that are geared towards us, but that are meat geared towards us. Okay. So, like, I remember in Ecuador, there was a place called Stop Wing instead of Wing Stop. And it was the exact same colors and the exact same menu as Wing Stop, but they called it Stop Wing. And it was great. I instantly was like, okay, I know what I'm getting. Like, I'll take the lemon pepper wings. Like, this is good. And so I thought that was hilarious. Now, I'm pretty sure that's against the law, but they were attracting a lot of foreigners in that way. So that's kind of the
That's
opposite
incredible.
take than the vegan take.
Back to Thanksgiving a little bit here.
Yeah.
So, this is something I've learned in the travel world, kind of the nomad world. The best time to travel internationally is Thanksgiving. That's a great time to go to other countries because there's no other American travelers going outside. Like everyone is, if you're American, you're traveling to your grandma's house or whatever it might be. You're probably not leaving the country during Thanksgiving. So if you don't want to run into a bunch of American tourists, best time to travel is Thanksgiving. You also typically most companies give you 2 days off of work, so you get an extra long weekend during that time as well. So yeah, that's a little mini nomad hack right there. Best time to travel internationally, Thanksgiving.
Nice. Yeah, that makes total sense. So it's just don't now. What do you think about traveling in the U.S. during Thanksgiving if you're not going to like grandma's house? Like, do you think U.S. spots are good, or you think it's just going to be a clusterfuck?
Probably really bad. I know Christmas is horrible. Like I haven't traveled to mess or in the U.S. for Thanksgiving for a long time, but I know Christmas is like the flights are just way more expensive. The airports are super crowded. So yeah, probably not a good time to travel around the U.S.
Yeah.
That's my take.
Yeah.
So, all right, should we talk about our primary nomad hack of the day? Are we ready for that, Jack?
I'm ready, dude. So ready.
So, today we're going to talk about a nomad's best friend, which is Wi-Fi. So, I guess for me, all right, obviously we need to have Wi-Fi to work remotely. Like that's got to be priority number one when you're deciding where you're going to go next. Your accommodations, like where you're going to stay, is having Wi-Fi. So for me, I like to make sure that my place is going to have fast Wi-Fi speed. So what I will do is I'll usually message my Airbnb host ahead of time, like before I even book the Airbnb, and I'll say, "What's your Wi-Fi speed?" I found that you need at least 15 Mbps for video calls to be able to accommodate that. More ideal would be like 30 Mbps because like even if you're on 15, like you can still have some sketchy situations, some video calls that aren't really clear. But I think anything over 50, you're probably in the clear there. Really, if you're in the U.S., like I don't know if any internet providers have anything under 50 at this point. I feel
Yeah.
like it's always 200, something like that. But if you're going to other countries, maybe that aren't as well developed as the U.S., it's definitely an important thing to check. Yeah, what's your take, Jack?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's super important. Sometimes I feel like I've been to places where it's kind of not the Airbnb's fault. Like sometimes they're at
Yeah.
the mercy of the infrastructure of the country or the city. Have you ever experienced something like that?
For sure. Power outages are a thing in other countries that Americans never experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, that can happen. In which case, maybe I'll move to a cafe or somewhere that still has power, or figure something out. Maybe use my phone and do what do you call that when you use your phone's
Tether,
data? Maybe that's
tethering
not
or
what I was
something.
thinking of.
Oh, okay, but I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But and I always thought that was the case until I was in my last place here in Africa. Like I thought anything over 50 Mbps and you're good, but my place had like 80 Mbps and it still was kind of shitty. Like it would still, and maybe it was because I was far from the router. I don't know, but like it couldn't seem to handle multiple streams at once. Like I'd be watching Rick and Morty on the TV,
Mm, yeah.
and then pretending to watch a webinar on my work computer, and like they would interfere with each other. Like I couldn't do both at once.
Yeah, that sucks because I mean, you definitely want to make sure you caught up on Rick and Morty, and you don't really need to watch the webinar, but you got to be logged in.
Yeah. Oh, Rick and Morty is way more important than my work. I mean, I never miss an episode.
Yeah, no way. I hell no. Yeah, I think my nightmare for this was in Egypt, and it was like I only used mobile internet or cellular internet because the Wi-Fi just never worked, and I had to just buy SIM cards, and I bought from both providers that were in the area, and I would have to like switch between them to get good Wi-Fi, and of course, I was there for 6 months, so it was like a 6 month problem.
Oh, and hotspot was the word I couldn't think of, by the
Oh,
way.
hotspot.
You
Okay.
use your phone's hotspot. I don't know why that didn't come to me earlier.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had nightmares. I had one time when I was on a job interview and I was in the Caribbean and I was doing a remote job interview and my internet kept fucking up. Like I couldn't hear their question. They're like, "Where do you see yourself in 10 years?" Or whatever, and I couldn't catch what they were saying. So I'd be like, "What?" Or I would just BS an answer that probably had nothing to do with the question. Did not end up getting that job after that one.
Just totally ignore. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You see that would be tough. I mean, at least for me, my job is not as video calls aren't as important for me, but if you have an interview or you have customer calls and things like that, like I think this becomes something that you really got to stay on top of.
100%. And Jack, this is more your realm, but I'll bring it up to kick us off. So for me, I personally like to work from my Airbnb, but there are times where I have chosen to work from a co-working space. Another staple, along with vegan restaurants in nomadic friendly cities, is they have co-working spaces. Now,
Yep.
typically these will have very good internet. If they don't, then they probably shouldn't be in business. But I could usually rely on co-working spaces. A lot of them will have monthly fees. So like if I'm there for a month, maybe I'll pay for a month, and I can just go there every day or as needed. But yeah, co-working spaces can be a good option as well.
Yeah, I like co-working spaces beyond just the Wi-Fi thing. I think it's a great way to like meet other travelers as well. And if you kind of go there semi often, you'll kind of meet people. But yeah, and sometimes they have like the little phone booths. I'm sure you've had that where you want to go in the call and get in the booth. But definitely Wi-Fi is like their main attraction. It's like, okay, you live somewhere out there where you're not getting good Wi-Fi. We've put in some fiber or have some special agreement or pay a ton of money for the Wi-Fi, and we're gonna hook you up. So
Yeah, the worst is, and I've seen some people complaining online about this in the online travel community, is so obviously Wi-Fi is important in a co-working space, but then sometimes they don't have comfortable chairs. Like that, okay, if your first job is Wi-Fi, like your second job should be providing a comfortable place to work. But some of
Hmm.
them, like, dude, even in some of the Salinas out there, like they'll just have like really crappy like bar stools or just like hard wooden chairs. Like it'd be nice if I was paying for the place to have like an actual comfortable work chair because sometimes that is not provided in my Airbnb. Like I'm just working at the kitchen table and it's really not comfortable if you're sitting there for 8 hours a day.
Dude, a bar stool? Oh my gosh.
Bar stool.
If I was paying for a bar stool, I would be unhappy.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. I've seen them online. I've never gone to a co-working space like that because I'm like that's just not worth it for me. But I know I've seen that online. Another thing that's pretty cool. I've seen some co-working spaces are starting to get Starlink now, especially with some
Oh.
of these. Yeah, some of these places that may have power outages, things like that. They'll have like backup generators. But yeah, a lot of them are implementing Starlink, which is interesting.
I mean, I think that's great. It just shows like the influence that, these remote workers and people who want to come to your country kind of have. They recognize that, hey, honestly, I've said no to a few countries because it's like, man, like I just feel like if I went there and I didn't have good enough Wi-Fi, it would be very difficult to continue working.
Yeah, exactly. The one I saw was in Guatemala. It's kind of like what you were saying. Sometimes it's not the Airbnb's fault or whoever's fault. It's just maybe the country's infrastructure. Like they just don't have fast internet anywhere. So I
Hmm.
think Starlink is not connected to that. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, but like you're not on the city's internet, whatever grid, whatever they have there. Starlink
Yeah.
is completely like on its own. So that's why a lot of them are implementing it.
Yeah, it's perfect. I think it's gonna really, and I think originally Starlink is built for that sort of thing. I think it was marketed in the U.S. as, oh, these rural areas, you can still get internet like you were in the big city. So I think it's honestly great. I think that's awesome. Bring Wi-Fi to
Yeah.
everyone.
And, I think our friend Joe the Nomad, aka Joe Mad,
Mm,
who we should have as a guest on this podcast one of these
yeah,
days.
he's a pro
Um,
mad.
he's a pro mad, but he's a pretty big van life guy. Like he built out a van and he was doing the van life thing for a while and he had Starlink on his van. So literally he would just drive around with Starlink and no matter where he parked it, he had Wi-Fi, which is pretty cool.
I would love to actually hear his experience with that. Like, I wonder how smooth it
Yeah.
was, if it went well, if there was ever any issues.
Yeah, we'll definitely have him on. We'll add him to the queue, our queue of like two people that we've thought of so far to have as a guest. But yeah,
Wi-Fi.
all
It's
right,
like,
all right. Well, that's probably enough on that for today. I'm sure we can talk about Wi-Fi forever. Like we'll probably have another episode where we talk about some Wi-Fi tips. We probably didn't cover everything today, but that's a good starter pack.
it's like the modern day. It's like vegan food, shelter, water, Wi-Fi. Like that's
Wi-Fi.
what you need
Yeah.
to survive.
Yeah. What are those your essentials as a nomad?
Yeah, like that's what I need in the modern age.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even need clothes as much. Like if I don't have a meeting that day, I may not wear a shirt the whole day. Like
Yeah, or like no pants. Like why would you need pants?
definitely not pants. Like why dirty up my clothes if no one's gonna see me in them?
Because, sometimes doing laundry in different countries can be tricky.
Exactly. So I will save shirts by just not wearing them for the whole day. If I unless I'm like going out or whatever. But if it's like I'm just staying home working all day, yeah, I may not wear a shirt. Like I've worked in my underwear all day.
And I love that. And I'm still just as productive.
Yeah, I don't need clothes to be productive. So I have heard that take like if you want to be productive, which I honestly when COVID first started and when my job first went remote, I tried to like do the whole look good, feel good, play good thing, like
Yeah.
dress for success. So even if no one was going to see me that day, I'd still wear like a nice button down shirt, pay like shoes, and then slowly it was like okay, maybe I don't need to wear shoes. maybe I don't need a nice shirt. Maybe I'll just wear a t-shirt. And then slowly it's just devolved into now I just wear underwear.
Yeah, coming from being a software engineer, I already dress like shit, so like it wasn't like a huge change for me.
Yeah, I feel like it's the opposite for like software engineers or people with that type of job. Like the CEO, I just think of like Mark Zuckerberg, right? He like famously just doesn't dress super nice. I feel like if you're a high-powered CEO in tech like that, or like an entrepreneur, like they're like, yeah, I just wear like shitty clothes because I
Or
don't I
like
don't need
you
that.
have like your outfit. Like Zuckerberg's outfit is the gray shirt. Wow. I don't know how I did that, but
Not again.
yeah. I'm not that hyped about Zuckerberg having the gray shirt, so I don't care that much. Like,
But yes, yeah, but there's others. Steve Jobs had the turtleneck, whatever.
and who the Theranos lady copied the turtleneck. She's like, this is how I'm gonna scam people.
Who could forget? But then she traded that in for shackles or pinstripes, whatever people wear in jail.
Yeah, orange jumpsuit.
Yeah, orange is the new black, I heard, Jack.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. We need to watch. Maybe that's just as good as Rick and Morty. I'm not sure.
I've seen Orange is the New Black. It is good. Yeah, nothing will ever be as good as the goat Rick and Morty, but Orange is the New Black is a good show.
Yeah, nothing's ever topping the pickle scene. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right, should we wrap this bad boy up for the day? All right, guys, don't forget we are changing our name to Nomads No Worries. I think our social handles will just be all one word, Nomads No Worries. But if you already follow us as Digital Bromads, I think it'll just change the name and you won't have to do anything. But for any new listeners out there, look us up, Nomads No Worries, on Instagram and TikTok. Give us a follow. And make sure you check out all of our episodes. You can watch us on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, all that good stuff.
Hell yeah. Make sure to subscribe, follow. Nomads, no
Yeah.
worries. I love it, honestly. I'm so excited for the rebrand.
We literally have no worries, and we are nomads, so makes sense.
Yeah, and we do think we're clever, so that's why we chose that name.
Yeah, we really do. All right, cool. Well, Jack, time for you to say your thing.
Remember, guys, take a weird trip.